Hey, hello, welcome everyone to the webinar on how to save costs through better management of ServiceNow subscriptions. And in this webinar, we will cover the following expert overview of ServiceNow role assignment and subscription models, and the best practices and guidelines on managing groups and roles in ServiceNow, followed by guides to use performance analytics to get insights on the utilization of roles, and license optimization and cost benefit analysis. And this is Lalit. I work as a marketing manager at Aspire Systems. Introducing the speakers, Sharath Chowdhury from Firmniche. And Sharath is a techno-functional manager in Firmniche, and he is responsible for entire ServiceNow platform globally. This includes ServiceNow ownership, business analysis, solution designing, release and deployment management, governance and risk, project management, and end-to-end delivery. And Firmniche is one of our esteemed clients, and Firmniche is the largest perfume and taste company based out of Geneva, Switzerland. Firmniche is number one company in fine fragrance and perfumery, and number two in the taste and flavor worldwide. I also have with me Mr. Ravi Rajamani, who heads the ServiceNow practice at Aspire Systems. Ravi has demonstrated history of partnering with enterprise customers across the globe in leveraging ServiceNow platform. So before I let the speakers take over, there are a few instructions I would like to share. During the session, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the question tab below, and we will get back to you via email later. Thank you all once again for joining the session. Over to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Lalit, for arranging this wonderful webinar with Sharath. Okay, so let me get into the agenda of this webinar. Okay, so we wanted to cover about how we can better optimize the license utilization within the ServiceNow platform. To start with, we will talking about the license management on the SaaS platform as such, and we will invite Sharath from Firmenich to talk about his experience in managing or the lessons learned so far on managing the licensing and the roles in the ServiceNow platform. And we will show you some analytics on license optimization and how we enabled Firmenich on this aspect, and user stories related to license management. And we will talk a little bit about our company as such, and we will be open to take up your questions. Okay. So with respect to the stats, right? So I like to start with stats because that gives more sense where we are going towards, why we are proposing these solutions. Okay, so now Gartner, as a leading analytical firm, has forecasted that the usage of SaaS-based application within an IT infrastructure landscape is going to grow. Right. So anyway, we know these facts very much, but we have a number towards it. Now, while it grows, it also comes with challenges. Okay, these some challenges are the lack of usage visibility on these SaaS-based licenses, the amount we spent towards it, what kind of entitlements we are managing on these SaaS applications, and reclaiming these licenses assigned to users so that it can be better assigned to people who are actually using this. Okay. So we need to be very cautious in each of these steps to make sure that the licenses for SaaS applications are used properly. And especially ServiceNow as a leading platform within the SaaS or PaaS, I would say. Now, the challenge is how I can have a clarity about how ServiceNow as a platform is used within my company. Okay. So rather calling as a challenge, do we have any enablement in place which could help a product owner to decide how these licenses are managed? Though this is done by every product owner who uses ServiceNow in every enterprise, this topic is not discussed broadly, right? So we talk about how ServiceNow can be leveraged within an organization, what are the application it comes with, but we seldom talk about how the roles are managed. Okay, we wanted to start that conversation through this webinar, and we are looking forward to share our customer experience through series of webinar going forward. Okay. Now here we have three different sections about managing licenses in a SaaS platform. How do we manage it? How do we optimize it? And how do we govern those things? Okay, so now we should be very strategic thinking in place first about how these licenses are assigned to a user and how effectively it is optimized. Okay. Automatically identify and harvest duplicate and unused subscriptions is another major area where we need to focus on. How do we get that? We will come back to you. Okay, we do have few reports we enabled for Firmniche in particular and also with other customers, which help them to understand how these duplication of licenses or the licenses or roles assigned to people are used effectively or not. Okay. Govern is something which we need to have a continual process in place, okay, which should enable the product owner to have a better view of it so that we can bring in a governance policy in managing SaaS licenses. Okay. Now, I would like to invite Sharath from Firmenich, who is managing ServiceNow instance for Firmenich for a long time. Okay, and we will have some interesting insights about how Sharath helped Firmenich or Sharath managed the licensing within Firmenich environment, and overall his take on how we can better optimize it. Hi, Sharath, welcome.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you very much for inviting me onto this wonderful webinar. Thank you, Lalit, for the lovely introduction. So, hello, everyone. Yes, so we have a lot of aspects which we need to see towards the user and groups management. So, for sure, if your organization has been established, quite old, and they are using ServiceNow from ages, we need to really understand and measure the usage of a user, identify which groups which skill set he is going to be part of, and what sort of roles which are required, which are most utilized for that particular user. Uh, Moving to the group membership guidelines. So often group membership is taken as group management in ServiceNow. This means that every single manager wants their whole team to be settled as one group, and they often more focused on their group members instead of the group members consuming roles and consuming licenses. So first of all, this requires a lot of communication, a lot of awareness that okay, every role comes with a cost, and so that they can really see the utilization. We should also announce, or we should also communicate for the regular cleanups of those groups. Suppose if a person is leaving the company or leaving the group or leaving the team, he should be really taken off from that specific groups, and here his roles also be should be taken off, because in this way we can really measure that okay, these additional licenses which we just revoked can be also utilized by someone else who is in better need of it. Forecast increase of users consultants. So suppose your company is also outsourced to or outsource the work to really get some consultants on board and really get the work done. So we need to have a clear forecasting for that, so that we can really assess the number of licenses that is going to be used in future. uh, it's a very easy way to really manage this. You can simply prepare a catalog which is basically for deriving the roles from the system admin groups. So if you can really manage the system in a more this will really help you to manage the system in a more controlled way, and this means that you can make some system administration related groups where these roles will be centralized and these roles will be driven. So this means if a user is part of Windows team, he will be part of Windows team, but he will not have access to roles until he or she will be part of that system admin groups, because this is the group which is driving the roles. So you can have this better with the help of a catalog item, which is basically if a user is really requesting a group membership access, this catalog item should be used, and the additional approval come to the platform team so that they can approve and reject for assigning or rejecting those roles. So this is kind of an automated way which we can really think, so that the team has a clear count and clear stats within their hands, that okay, how many roles is being utilized and how many roles the platform team has given to someone. So yes, this is all about group membership. Secondly, that this is a major aspects of the role management. We need to understand that okay, if a user is coming, what sort of behavior, what sort of jobs and responsibilities he is going to take. So first of all, many companies and many clients do not understand this. What is this role is all about? It is all about just seeing the full interface. It is all about just seeing all the rights. No, it is all about that what kind of job this person is going to take inside the service now. This means that if a person is responsible for ticket handling, ticket treatments or resolutions or end-to-end delivery for that specific service request, this means that he requires an ITL role. However, if a person is VP or kind of CEO, he is mostly involved in really viewing the dashboards, taking the reports, and supervising the activities on a particular team and doing approvers. Then I believe he's not going or he's not fully qualified for ITL role. He must be going with the business stakeholder role. That's a brand new role which is recently introduced by ServiceNow, which is also comes with a lower cost compared to ITL. So this ITL, business stakeholder approvers, these are the main roles which are really giving to the users for their day-to-day jobs. We do have first you need to really understand what this user is all about, and then you can really start assigning those roles. In this way, you should not be underutilizing any role or any access, and this should be fully utilized. For sure, I will go back to my one of the slide point where we said that about the regular cleanups. It is very key point to really do these regular cleanups so that if a person is not existing anymore into the group, you can really remove those roles. We can also follow some methods for the system admin team or platform admin team to really have a clear picture how these roles are getting managed so that it's a kind of a centralized view for them. We also need to understand if you are just using IT process or ITSM process, or you are also extended your ServiceNow instance to the business workflows, because business workflows qualifies for another type of role, which is kind of another type. So you need to, of course, discuss this with your ServiceNow account manager to have more understanding on this. Enrollment of type roles via single group is in support and sustenance. So this is what we have covered. User awareness about the roles and licenses on the platform. It is a very key point to make all those group managers informed about the cost of the licenses so that they can really be conscious while assigning those group memberships or making a user part of their group and asking for the roles for that. We can also have kind of analysis and changes in our existing system to really understand how these roles are being governed, what all these users who are really occupying those roles, or to really analyze whether they are in best need of it. Mainly, we have ITL admin role, user admin role, ITL role. We have, as I covered, about the business stakeholder role, and also about the approvers, so that we should always keep in mind while defining the workflows. If the workflows also accounted for any approval, we should be really conscious for while defining those approval roles. Yeah.
Thank you, Sharath. So now, for everyone, what you're seeing in the screen is an analytics which helped product owner like Sharath, okay, to really understand how these roles are used and how these licenses are managed. Now, we know that when Sharath spoke about bringing in analytics, okay, to justify or give us some clarity on how these roles are there. So we helped Firmenich in building those analytics in place. Obviously, we used performance analytics for it. Okay. Now, there are different steps through which these roles and these licenses are managed within an instance, right? For example, I'm sure that every company you have worked with and you have did will go for the users who have not logged into an instance for quite some time, okay, which means he or she is not with the company anymore, okay, but it didn't reflect within ServiceNow. Okay, that may be one case. Okay, or he or she have changed the roles or changed departments where it didn't warrant for them to log into ServiceNow on a day-to-day basis. Right. So even if they create a ticket, they get an email notification. They are literally not logging into ServiceNow at all. Right. So now, what are the other steps? This is something which is pretty much straightforward, right? So we know that, okay, from the last login session, we know that, okay, this user have not logged into the instance for quite some time. Okay. But what are the other steps? How far we can go to find out whether these licenses are utilized properly? The second step we thought of is coming up with the user sessions. Okay, the sessions, the session times are very, very critical. Okay, we know that the user logged in, but how briefly it was. Okay, so we are just going one step deep into it and find out how these sessions are in place. Okay, we use performance analytics to gather that information to come up with an analytics for product owners so that they can understand really how these session timings are in place. Okay, or they using only time to time. Okay, there may be a good business use case why they are coming into ServiceNow for that, but how briefly it is. Okay, that's the next step which we did it. And we also went even one step further. Okay, here we looked into the transactions made by different users. Okay, and we grouped them into different aspects. For example, we grouped those transaction data into different user groups or departments, or we can also group them into different applications as well. For example, a transaction made to IT service management suite will be different from an ITBM suite. For example, if I'm using project portfolio management in my company, how many transactions are made to this particular module is very important, and when which department is using those modules more effectively and which departments are not using is also very important for me to understand. So we went into the ServiceNow data, okay, and try to put some meaning into it through analytics. Okay, so what you're seeing is a very sample data or sample report with numbers, so which gives some insights about how the licensing or the roles, the people with roles are utilizing ServiceNow as a platform. Sharath, do you want to talk about this for a minute?
Yeah, thank you, Ravi, for giving this explanation. So yes, in ServiceNow instance, we have this reporting functionality, and you can make those assessments based on the reports. So there are a couple of standard reports and standard approaches you can take. First is basically normal reports. Secondly, you can, if you have this performance analytics module implemented in your instance, yes, you can even have a good ways to see the trend, how your roles, how your licenses are going up and down. This is what Ravi talked about here. And then we have transaction reports, which we can really utilize to really understand about that, okay, which user has logged in into the system or logged in into the instance for how many times based on the, the month wise, so that it will give you a clear picture that this person is only involved in some kind of information on the monthly basis, or he's regularly involved in making heavy transactions. So that this is also gives you a clear picture in terms of roles, which kind of roles and those particular roles to be utilized by that user. Then we have kind of a user-wise transactions that we can really have a look about on which application the user has logged in and how being served. So this reports is basically coming from performance analytics. However, you can simply take standard reports to understand those things. We have also kind of a standard report which comes out of the box to really understand that, okay, how many users have logged in inside now instance from last 3 months, or not logged in from last 3 months or 2 months, so that you can take and make those decisions. The very good way to really see it's a kind of a deeper report, which is just in front of your screen, is user-wise transactions, which gives you a deeper analysis and deeper view in terms of to take decision whether user is needs to be part of that particular application group or needs to be revoked from there.
Thank you very much, Sharath. So I'm sure that these reports helped Firmenich a lot to understand the activities and how these platform like ServiceNow is utilized within the business, right? So that is the insight what we bring to the table. Now here is the user story, right? So what happens when we adopt ServiceNow as a platform for workflow management or per se service management within a company? We start with a greenfield implementation. We know who's who. Okay, we know the roles assigned to people, and this platform over the period of time will indeed expand into different departments within your enterprise. Okay. Now the challenge comes in who is managing the roles for different departments within a company, because everyone wants to use indeed a business application developed or already in out of the box within ServiceNow for their day-to-day activity. So we should be cautiously deciding what roles to be provided to these individuals on a time-to-time basis, and we should have some kind of audit in place. Now the reports which we have showed you will give you enough information about not only just the roles but also how the roles are utilized by these individuals or a group or a team or a department as such over the period of time. Okay, that is the insight. Now what happens after 3-4 years of usage in Now Platform? Now here the difference comes in, we really don't have track of these roles assigned to people. Okay, so we would have assigned a project portfolio or a customer service management role to an individual at one point of time with a valid reason, but most of the companies don't go back and remove those roles once it is done because we don't have those insights. A request is fulfilled and it is done, but we don't really go back to validate it time to time whether it is, because it's going to be a cumbersome job. Okay, without having analytics in place. And that is where the performance analytics reports which we have created on the user sessions and the transaction grouped into different application bucket comes handy. Okay, this is more of a decision support system, which you can call, okay, so that it gives you enough data for you to understand how these things are managed in the first place. Now here, what do we need to do overall? Okay, so how strategic we should be when we provide or when we assign a license or role to the user is very important, as I say. Okay, so take the access, okay, like Sharath mentioned. So if someone is performing a particular job, but he or she is having a lot of other rights as well within a system, which is not necessary for them to perform on a day-to-day basis, how we can cautiously downgrade the access is very important. It doesn't maybe map or not right to the licensing cost, but it gives you that kind of a control over who have access to what on a need basis. Okay, so downgrading access is a very important activity which we should be performing as part of the platform governance perspective. Okay, and reducing the number of redundant applications within the enterprise or sometimes even within ServiceNow, because we have seen or witnessed in cases where ServiceNow is utilized for more than 5-6 years, we have seen same applications or something very similar to custom applications doing almost the same thing for two different departments or maybe for two different business use case solutions. So how do we govern the Now Platform which will result in an optimized way of using these roles, and licensing as an activity also? This is something which we would recommend, and this have worked for many customers, including Firmenich. That is a proven way that this is something which you take into consideration, not just from a software asset management perspective, right? For example, now we have a very good plan for asset management. Many companies do have asset management in place. Now we can highly segregate them into hardware asset management and software asset management. Hardware asset management, I would say that it is pretty much straightforward compared with a software asset management way. Okay, software asset management is pretty much very diverse, and especially when it comes to SaaS based applications, how do we manage the software assets is a big challenge. Okay. Now we could see a lot of solutions now emerging in the market which could address these kind of issues in the software asset management, especially in the SaaS platform. Now within ServiceNow, we have come up with this a solution which helped customers like Firmenich to better optimize the licenses and roles within the Now platform. Now I'd like to have Lalit to talk about who we are as a company.
Yep. Thank you, Sharath and Ravi, for a wonderful session on ServiceNow license management. And yeah, before I end this presentation, as Ravi said, let me give you a brief intro about the Aspire Systems. Aspire Systems is a global IT services company. We have more than 3,000 plus employees with 150 plus active customers. Aspire is a certified premier ServiceNow partner, And we have successfully completed over 100 projects and offer enhancement support and managed services to our customers post implementation. Our core expertise on ServiceNow include ITSM, ITOM, SecOps, DevOps, PPM, HR, and so on. So we have our expertise on service software engineering, digital services, independent testing, infrastructure application support, integration, and Oracle ERP implementations. So we are CMMI Level 3 certified and ISO 27001 certified, and we have won the Great Place to Work Institute Best Place to Work award for the 11th consecutive time in a row. And that I think gives you a pretty good idea of what Aspire Systems is all about. For inquiries, please write to us at info@aspiresys.com. And thank you all once again for attending this webinar. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you, Lalit, for making this webinar happen. And thank you, Sharath, very much for joining this webinar along with us and sharing your experience. As I said before, we wanted to have a series of webinar where we have our customers or customers who have adopted no platform to share their experience on managing ServiceNow licenses and roles, which could be of great help for the ServiceNow community and share the knowledge so that we can better optimize it together. Thank you very much, Sharath.
Thank you very much, Ravi, and thank you, Lalit, for organizing this. Thanks a lot for audience. Bye bye.